we are questioning the sincerity and the prioritization of the Akufo-Addo-led government based on a letter which has come to our attention, a letter which we have now published, copies of which you have in your possession. And it is a letter signed by the Honorable Minister for Finance, the Honorable Kenneth Proyata, dated the 31st of March 2022, and it is addressed to the Controller and Accountant General under the heading Seed Money for the Construction of the National Cathedral. And it reads, please refer to letter number SCRDE32960 dated 17th March 2022 for the Chief of Staff, Office of the President and National Cathedral of Ghana's memo dated 28 March 2022 on the above subject. Copies attached. Authority is hereby granted to you to release the sum of 25 million Ghana cedis as additional seed money to the National Cathedral Secretariat for the construction of the National Cathedral for part payment of outstanding claims for Rebate Limited. The payment should be effected to the account details detailed below. This letter comes to us as a surprise because we are not aware of any allocation in the budget for the National Cathedral project. You will recall that President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo has said time without number that the National Cathedral project is a personal pledge that he made to the Almighty, that when God blesses him and he wins the 2016 election, he will build a cathedral in honor of the Creator. He has said it's a private-led initiative, and he has sought to mobilize reverend ministers, pastors, and the Christian fraternity. And they have urged Christians to donate to a fund. This letter is exposing the lack of sincerity, the duplicity, and the deception. This letter is confirming today that contrary to the claims by the President, the National Cathedral project apparently is being heavily funded by taxpayer resources. We as members of Parliament have not approved all of these colossal sums of money that are being released to companies we are seeing for the first time. We are not even aware of the procurement processes that were followed for these companies and these consultants who are today at the receiving end of hundreds of millions of Ghana cedis. The other concern we have is that on the scale of priorities, looking at the current economic crisis that we all find ourselves, the President himself has admitted that we are facing an economic crisis of our lifetime. As we speak, NAPCO trainees have not been paid for more than 7 months. National service personnel are owed. School feeding caterers are agitating. They are on strike. They have not been paid. And to make matters worse, these school feeding caterers tell us that government says it does not have money to increase the feeding grant per child from 97 Ghana cedis to 2 cedis.
That's right.
From 97 pesos. Can you imagine what 97 pesos really can do And that is what the school feeding caterers have been told to manage. They are old. National health insurance is old. The last time we looked at the arrears, government owes national health insurance more than 2 billion Ghana cedis. Get fund is in arrears. District Assembly Common Fund is in arrears. We are here as members of parliament. The Common Fund has not been released. So, for a country that has all of these pressing challenges, for 3 years, the government has not been able to provide textbooks to basic schools. Capitation grant is in arrears. So if you have all of these challenges, obligations that you are not able to meet, and you are asking everybody to tighten their belts, to bear with you, that there is no money, how is it that you are releasing these fantastic sums, these staggering amounts of money to companies that have not gone through due process so far as the procurement laws are concerned? You don't even have approval from this house to engage in the kind of expenditure that you engage in. We are all Christians, for the avoidance of doubt, and Muslims. We are all believers in the Almighty. But we know, our Bible teaches us that on the judgment day, the Almighty will ask those who, when people were hungry, they refused to feed them. When people were in prison and they refused to visit them. When people were naked and they refused to clothe them. When people were destitute and those who were responsible abandoned them. The good Lord says in Matthew chapter 25 that on the judgment day, those people will not make it to heaven. We serve a compassionate God. God will not be pleased that first of all you are building a cathedral based on lies, not on truth, not on sincerity. You tell us it's a personal pledge, you are not going to use government resources, and yet you are using government resources. Then in terms of priority, the good Lord we serve, who is very compassionate, will not be pleased, he will not be happy with the government of Ghana led by President Akufo, that in the face of all of this excruciating hardship, in the face of all of this hunger, NAPCO workers, national service personnel, school feeding caterers, road contractors, government contractors generally, owed across the board billions of money. And this is what we are doing with scarce resources. So we want to serve notice today that we are demanding immediate answers from the finance minister. What is the authority upon which he is making these releases? What are the legal basis for these releases to be made? What procurement processes were followed for these companies, Ajayi and Ajayi Associates and other consultants, the company that is now at the receiving end, this rebate is an international company. You know what the constitution says about these international business transactions. Parliament should grant approval. Nothing has been brought here for approval. So we are building a national cathedral which will be a symbol of holiness, of everything pure, everything clean, and see how it is shrouded in such shadiness, such opacity, and clear, blatant corruption. That is why we are not going to be silent and accept this. We will not accept it. We also want to bring to your attention that today we have filed urgent questions. The Honorable Kwame Agboja and I have filed 3 urgent questions on this matter. The questions are here, we have copies here. One is to ask the minister responsible for finance the total amount of taxpayer funds released for the National Cathedral project thus far. The second urgent question is to ask the minister responsible for finance how much of taxpayer funds has been used to pay Ajayi Associates and other consultants working on the National Cathedral project. And then the third question which stands in the name of the Honorable Kwame Agbodja, relates to the procurement processes. What procurement methods were used? Because we have done our checks and we are not convinced that the procurement law has been complied with. So that is why we have called you here today, and we hope that you will join us in this crusade to get our priorities right, yes, and to really do what matters, and to stop all this deception, all of this corruption. It is just too much. The direction of this country is now in such a precarious state that we can no longer keep quiet and accept all of this wanton dissipation of scarce resources to continue.